Well, good evening, friends. Tom Chapin here. Wave if you can hear me. Great. And this is the third in my series of collaborators, and with the great Kahn, who I believe is here. Are you there? Turn your video on and you.
Tom, I am here. I'm getting a message saying unable to start video because the host has stopped it. So
No. Oh. Can you click on the
but
stop
I've got
video?
the audio.
Can you click on stop video right there on the bottom left?
No, on start. I click on start video. I get a message saying unable to start video. You can't start your video because the host has stopped it. Aha! Now the host has asked me to stop my video. Thank you, Claudia.
There you are.
There you are.
Friends, welcome Kahn. Cy and I have been working together for a long time. I think we met in the 90s.
No, it was in the 1770s. We were working on the American Revolution. Yeah.
We are old. We're both in our 70s now, so
We sure
I'm not
are
gonna
pushing
argue with
80
you.
hard.
But Cy is a community organizer, a musician, an author, not only of a number of books, but effective books to tell you how to work in civil rights and labor as a community organizer, and a great friend. Also, he's been doing it the last few years. Has been writing a number of musical theater pieces, musicals, and we haven't seen each other for probably 3 or 4 years now. COVID kind of got in the way the last couple of years, but it's such a delight to have you here. Welcome.
Well, Tom, it's great. And for those of you who don't know, Tom Chapin is not only a musician, he's an actor, he's a director, he's a very, very involved in all kinds of wonderful social justice efforts, and he's a good guy. One of my homemade mantras is, life is short. To the extent that you can, spend it with good people. Tom is a serious mensch, and he's a good person, and I just love not just writing songs with him, but I love hanging out with him. And Tom always brings to our writing sessions these great ideas for songs. I don't think I've ever brought an idea to the session, but hey, in terms of a songwriter's yogurt starting culture, Tom is a class act.
Oh, likewise. I'm so thrilled. Here's a song that I don't think any of the folks here have heard. It's a song that we actually, Cy left me with a bunch of lyrics 3 or 4 years ago, and I finally just came up with the first verse and a tune, and it goes like this. Feels like a good opening song. If you listen close, I'll share a thought or two about who I am and what I'm trying to do. I've come to toss some words up in the air with a tune to float and fly them to your ear. I am not a savior sent here from on high. I am just a singer trying to get by. I'm not a messenger from some far distant star, just a poet with an old guitar. And I am no magician who makes things disappear, but I can cast a spell to calm your doubt and fear. Listen to the sky when the night is clear. Hear what the ancients call the music of the spheres. Ooh, 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 ooh. Listen close, there's magic in the air. Hear the notes are flying everywhere. It's an ancient art as old as humankind. Sing your song, then move on down the line. And I am not a preacher calling judgment down. just a troubadour, traveling town to town. I'm not a sorcerer with potions rare and strong, just an old musician trying to get along. Ooh. I'm no therapist to heal your hurting soul, just another traveler on the open road, standing on the stage with methods tried and true. Open up your heart, let the music through. Listen close, there's magic in the air. Hear the notes are flying, flying everywhere. It's an ancient art, as old as humankind. Sing your song, then move on down the line. Thanks to you for giving us the time to clarify the reason and the rhyme. We'll sing a song, then move on down the line. Oh, sing our song, then move on down the line. Ooh.
And that's all because I left you some lyrics. What did I like nail them to the door like Martin Luther? I mean, where did I leave them?
We get together, and Cy says he has a sister who still lives in town, right, in New York. Yeah. And he says, I'm coming to New York, and I got it like a day and a half. Maybe we can get together. And either he comes to our place
Right.
in the Hudson Valley, or I go to his place, and we sit there for a few hours. And first of all, of course, what we always do, of course, is catch up and what's happening with the family, what's happening here and there. And he asked me to tell him stories, you know. And one time when he visited us, he met our dog, our dearly departed dog Otis, and we were here up in the Hudson Valley, and the geese were flying, and somehow he came up with this incredible song about Otis and geese.
Well,
it's a song you're still singing, right? You sing the song.
Oh no, I sing it all. Actually, it's one of my favorite songs. So, Tom, people often say, where do you get these ideas for your songs? I can't think of any ideas, and my answer is just listen and watch at every moment, because I believe a dozen times every day a song idea comes by, but the trick is to catch it when it's there. So I take a nap every day of my life, and
I'm starting to do the same now.
Yeah, well, yeah. Partly because I work nights. I write from 1 a.m. to 5 a.m. By 2 a.m. I am dead to the world. So, you and Otis, your Labrador Retriever, you said to me about 1:30, hey, we're going to go walk down the Hudson River. The geese are going to be flying south. Why don't you join us? And I said, I would love to, but it's nap time, sacred, right?
I remember this.
So, so Otis came back. I woke up. Otis is taking a nap. You're not. And I'm like, hey, so how was the walk? And you're like, it was gorgeous, because V after V after V was heading south. And that's where I live. So, they're coming to see me. They don't know I'm visiting with you. And I'm like, well, how did Otis react to the geese? And Tom, you said, well, it's so interesting. He would race along the ground trying to keep up with them, and then he would leap in the air, kind of, pawing his paws. I said, do you think he was looking for lunch? And you said, no, I think he actually wanted to go with him. Then this is called Otis is Flying. Me and Otis down by the river, walking together in the heat of the day. Me on my 2 feet, Otis on his 4 feet, as the geese fly south down the Hudson River, fly away. And the geese looked down at the old railway station. In his imagination, Otis is flying. It's the existential angst of the Labrador retriever, and it will last until supper time. What if our lives were measured in dog years? Would I still be here? I can't figure it out. So we turn towards home, where supper is waiting. The river flows on, and the geese fly south. And the geese look down at the old railway station. In his imagination, Otis is flying. It's the existential angst of the Labrador retriever, and it will last until supper time. It will last until supper time.
Oh, Otis, I remember you well. So nice. So that's one that it's a good kind of talk about how that song happened. There's other songs where I have a little piece, or you have a little piece, and we when we share it together, and this is a song that had a interesting life, because I had three verses, and I didn't quite know what to do with them.
Oh, yes, you did.
And we and you helped, and I finished it in one way, and then like a year later, you took that same song and used it for the Bristol Bay album, right?
Well, I mean, the first. So, folks, so this is typical. So I show up, and and Tom and Bonnie Chapin are the most gracious, generous hosts. So, always.
Everybody's welcome. Come on.
Wait, everybody's welcome, not just me? What's that about? So, and so Tom had maybe 3 verses of a song,
something like that, 3.5, something, like yeah.
And then we worked together, kind of adding back and forth, and originally it had just kind of straight through verses, and then we created sort of a half chorus that says, "Sometimes I dream of," and it lists different precious jewels, and that became the song that Tom recorded so beautifully. I would like to hear it.
Great. And actually, I remember that first chorus, "Sometimes I dream of silver, sometimes I dream of gold." And I thought, how about if you say, "Sometimes you dream in silver, sometimes you dream in gold," and you say, that's great. One of the great things about collaborating with a good collaborator is how you're open,
Yes.
back and forth. One of my first bands in New York City, I had a guy who wrote some wonderful songs, but if he ever had an idea for a verse or a line or something, he would always say, "But that's my favorite line." No matter what it was, it was.
That's good.
So it ended up not doing. This is called "Once When I Was Young." The first 3 verses are mine, and after that, a bunch of it is Si's, and a bunch of it is ours together.
But we'll never tell you who wrote what, because we don't actually remember.
That's probably true. 'Twas in the year of plenty, I was first out on my own. No one to look after me, no money, car, or phone. I took a leap out in the deep, head first on the run. Thick as a brick, I could take a lick. Once when I was young. I met you in a club downtown. Do you remember when? Every night was a red light, every vagabond a friend. I must have sounded pretty lame as I tripped over my tongue, but maybe you were awkward too, once when I was young. In the half-light of a street lamp, your beauty shone like day. When you took me to your room, I did not have a word to say. You put your lips against my lips, tongue against my tongue. I thought my heart would blow apart once when I was young. Sometimes I dream in silver, sometimes I dream in gold. Sometimes I dream of you, my love, keep me from the cold. Then you got me crazy frantic when you finally turned away. I couldn't sleep at all at night, I stumbled through the day. I was lost, tossed, double-crossed, stranded, I was stung. I almost died of wounded pride once when I was young. Sometimes I dream in amber, sometimes I dream in jade. Sometimes I dream of you, my love, and the promises we made. My promises are broken, yours was first to go. You married in the winter time, my heart froze hard as snow. Your husband never challenged me about what he must have heard. I worked beside him 20 years. He never said a word. I see you in the club tonight, we nod just like old friends. I look down at your wedding band to break my heart again. You lift your eyes and stare at me, I see the ring is gone. I follow you into the night, like once when we were young. Sometimes my dreams are black and white, sometimes they're ruby red. Tonight I dream of you, my love, beside me in this bed.
Wow. Hey, I like. How'd you do that kind of Cajun yelp at the end?
Is that semi-yodel?
It's a semi-yodel. Well, what's the full yodel sound
What's
like?
Yodeling.
Oh, man.
I haven't yodeled in a long time.
So I assume everybody on the Zoom with us tonight recycles, right? And one of the easiest things to recycle, and in fact, one of the best things to recycle, are songs, right? And so many of the great songs of the civil rights movement, the labor movement, the women's movement, the LGBTQ movement, they're old songs, gospel songs, Tin Pan Alley songs that we recycled, new words to fit new times.
Way back when Joe Hill was one of the guys who did it all the time, right?
All the time. He never wrote. Yeah. Apparently, he only wrote 3 original tunes, and they're considered unplayable. Right? So, because this is a long song,
it can't be unplayable. What are they, Si?
Right? Yeah, I guess if it's unplayable, it's sort of like Schoenberg, something like that. 12 tones. So, because this is a long song, I'm not going to sing the Bristol Bay version. Here's what happened. I mean, in 2010, I always get my centuries difficult and decades. It's sort of hard to keep track anymore. I was asked to come to Alaska to write a theme song for a campaign to prevent the construction of the so-called Pebble Mine. This would have been the largest open pit mine in the history of the world, an open pit 2.5 miles wide and 3/4 of a mile deep, and with 12 billion tons of toxic waste right near the headwaters where the salmon spawn for the richest remaining wild fishery in the world. I ended up, interviewing dozens of people from politicians to people who fish commercially to indigenous leaders to third graders, and translated that into an album called Bristol Bay, and then also for 10 years worked back and forth to Alaska on the strategy for the campaign. So, I just thought this song, which, is really, Tom does so beautifully. I thought, I'm going to recycle it. I put it in the recycling bin, let it sit for a couple of days, took it back out, and here's how I made Once When I Was Young into a Bristol Bay fishing song. First, where Tom sings, "'Twas in the year of plenty," I sang and wrote in the town of Dillingham. Dillingham is the main town on Bristol Bay, which is the fishery itself. It's a town of 2,000 people. In the summer, it swells to 15,000 people as thousands of people come to work on the boats. And then Tom sings, "With no one to look after me," without asking his permission, actually. I wrote, "Crewing on a drift net boat." We won't go into the technicalities of drift nets, but so this person has become not some kind of urban, poet, but now is working as a crew member on a fishing boat. Tom wrote, "I met you in a club downtown," and I made that. I hope this is okay, Tom.
It's too late to ask now, man.
You don't ask me, I don't ask. Said, "I met you in the harbor bar," right? So now we're in a bar in the harbor, not in the Lower East Side, right? Then "You got me crazy frantic" becomes, "But as the season ended, you began to turn away," right? And then last, where Tom sings, "I worked beside him 20 years" about her husband, I wrote or rewrote, recycled, "I fished beside him 20 years, he never said a word." So with a very few changes, this becomes a different kind of a song. And I recorded it on my album Bristol Bay, which was a fundraiser to the campaign to stop the mine. Right now, the mine is stopped, but a lot depends on who the next president is. Enough said.
Yeah. Well, we could talk about the other one. That's Bristol Bay. How about the Hudson River upstate New York Waltz?
Yeah, I have no idea why I wrote a song called Hudson River, New York, Upstate Waltz, right?
Right.
I think somebody challenged me to write a song with new paltz in it. That may be what happened, which is a legitimate challenge.
Yeah.
And I don't think there were a whole lot of new paltz songs, but there's one now, and actually there are two. So here's what I started with, and then we'll do what Tom did with it or to it, depending on your point of view. This requires Tom to talk just a little bit while I move this magic electronic thing called a capo.
Well,
There we go.
I have to say that I play at Mohonk Mountain House 2 or 3 times a year, and it's always great to and that's right outside of New Paltz, New York. So this is a favorite of people who come to there because we mentioned New Paltz.
Maybe you and I should make a trip to New Paltz, talk to the mayor and the city councils. Think, why shouldn't New Paltz have a national anthem?
True. However, there's no train that goes to New Paltz, so we got to fix that.
Well, we'll talk to Amtrak. We're friends. Here we go. The wind from the Catskills grew colder than hell. That was supposed to be. The wind from the Catskills blew colder than hell. The snow turned to ice on the town. We both met so quickly. Deep in Poughkeepsie, we both lost our grip and bent down. We'd met unexpectedly deep in Schenectady, falling in love at first sight. But we had little to say, and day after day she drifted away in the night. I was drowning in pain as she got on the train with a ticket that said to New Paltz. I'll never forgive her till the band plays that old Hudson River, New York upstate waltz. My ma took in boarders who danced in three-quarter time, night after night in the hall. They spun in midair at the foot of the stair, and not once did the foxtrot at all. There was nothing but mud on the banks of the Hudson. The sky was so cloudy all day. So I spun her around through that dusty old town till the wind came and blew her away. I was drowning in pain as she got on the train with a ticket that said to New Paltz. I'll never forgive her till the band plays that old Hudson River, New York upstate waltz. Waiting impatiently down at the non-existent train station, watching my tears on the tracks. I danced 1, 2, 3, just like she did with me, but I know that she'll never come back. Windows of factories stare at me emptily, lost in the smoke from the train. Arms open wide, with no one inside them, I'm waltzing alone in the rain. I was drowning in pain as she got on the train with a ticket that said to New Paltz. I'll never forgive her till the band plays that old Hudson River, New York upstate waltz.
Wow. I never heard three-quarters of that. What I remember
Really?
is I think you had like a verse and a half, and I said, well, leave it with me.
Yeah.
And so I love this whole thing. So here's
wait, I got to tell you what happened.
Okay.
First, watching my tears on the track, that is a reference to Smokey Robinson and the Miracles, The Tracks of My Tears.
My tears.
I couldn't quite get it right, but that was close. So I sing a verse and a half for Tom. Tom races out of the room, comes back with a New York State map, and this is what happened next.
The wind from the Catskills blew colder than hell. It was snowing above Middletown. The streets grew so slippery all over Poughkeepsie, we both lost our step and went down. We'd met unexpectedly deep in Schenectady, falling in love at first sight. By the time we passed Albany, I was in ecstasy, but she drifted away in the night. I was drowning in pain as she got on the train with a ticket that said to New Paltz. I'll never forgive her till the band plays that old Hudson River, upstate New York waltz. We reunited one night in Oneida. We tarried in Tarrytown too. I chased her through Utica up into Ithaca, sure that her love would be true. But on a safari to Kahn, she was just climbing the walls. My favorite part. We barely were speaking when we got to Beacon and broke up in Wappingers Falls. I was drowning in pain as she got on the train with a ticket that said to New Paltz. I'll never forgive her till the band plays an old Hudson River, upstate New York waltz. Though she promised to take me back one night in Nyack, I feared there was trouble ahead. We We were still lovers till one night in Gloversville she climbed alone into bed. I was on fire as we passed Elmira on the thruway. She said we were through. Though she'd left me in Seneca, Potsdam and Plattsburgh, Fredonia was our Waterloo. I was drowning in pain as she got on the train with a ticket that said to New Paltz. I'll never forgive her till the band plays at Old Hudson River, upstate New York waltz. All alone in Fredonia, I work at a bar, having finally accepted my fate. I suffered abuse, but what an excuse to travel the Empire State. Got as many as I could. But the problem with this is we do every once in a while. We did a number of Zoom concerts for Why Hunger, and Betsy Harding has friends who live in Scanajahari, and she said, "Can you rhyme something with that?" And Michael Mark did. He was like, so.
That's I mean, the rhymes are magical. I mean that's a definite mental health challenge right there. So have you submitted it to the Guinness Book of World Records?
In terms of how many? No, I haven't actually.
I think you should think about it. I'm not sure what category.
Which exactly?
Most absurd rhymes
Most
in one
absurd
song,
rhymes.
right? That was brilliant.
Actually, there's a wonderful song that Dave Van Ronk used to do, with the towns in New Jersey. No story, nothing, just a list, which is of course impossible to learn. But and there's an enormous number of crazy things. So the other thing that happens is that you love to hear family stories.
Yes.
And you came by. Harry had died. My brother Harry, late brother Harry, had died in '81, and in I think 2001, my brother James died, and he was 60, and you said, tell me about them, and so I did, and you wrote this wonderful song about that I tried to sing at James's memorial service. Got a little bit teared up as part of that. A piece of quilt is torn away to be repaired, but not replaced. Yet it still extends its warmth around this family. My older brother died too young, a shooting star across the skies. Still every song he wrote and sung lives on in you and me. Lamentation for those who now are gone. Celebration in us, they carry on. And now we gather once again to mourn another brother gone. And we are moved by grief and pain to come back to this place. Yet even here we laugh and sing, we tell his stories, hear his voice, for death still leaves us everything except for his embrace. Lamentation for those who now are gone. Celebration in us, they carry on. And I who was the third in line. My universe is different now. But what was theirs is not now mine. It stays with them alone. But they are with me every day, and I'll remember what he said. We know we cannot fill his shoes, but we can fill our own. Lamentation for those who now are gone. Celebration in us they carry on. In us they carry on. Cy, I think that song was fully formed. You wrote the whole thing. The only thing I changed was I switched verses, and I put the piece of quilt first, which is such a wonderful, wonderful line. A piece of quilt is torn away to be repaired but not replaced, and yet it still extends its warmth around this family. It's fabulous, fabulous.
Have you recorded that?
Yeah, I have.
God, it's gorgeous, Tom. You know,
Yeah.
I don't know if this is an irony, or as we say in Jewish tradition, b'sheret, meaning serendipitous but good. But last night, I was at a memorial service for my best friend in Charlotte, my recording engineer for 30 years, Chris Garges, who died at 48 after a bitter struggle with cancer. You know, and that song would have been so healing. I mean, in this moment, that song is so healing to me.
Wow.
Thank you so much.
Oh, thank
you
you.
so much.
It was one of those things where,
Wow.
And the sense of lamentation for those who now are gone, celebration in us they carry on, because we do get together
Yeah.
for births and marriages and funerals, and they all in some ways are celebrations. You know, even when someone's gone, you celebrate.
Yeah.
It's for the living to celebrate the life and each other. You know, so thank you.
Well, you know, I think one of the reasons we're such deep friends is that we're both just very, very deep family people. That family is of extraordinary importance to both of us, Tom. Both the living and those who are gone. And both of us have written songs about those we've lost, you know, and it's a way for me of kind of keeping them alive. I've written songs for many, many members of my family. And then, of course, you quite generously mentioned earlier that, well, and another thing we share is we're both involved in musical theater. And you were part of the Cotton Patch Gospels, and acted on Broadway. I don't act. I only act up. But
I was in Pump Boys and Dinettes on Broadway, and
awesome. And
Long
Pump
ago.
Boys and Dinettes was the Red Clay Ramblers, with whom
yeah,
I did my third and fourth albums, and Let Us Lament the Loss of Tommy Thompson, the great,
Oh, right.
the great. So I wrote a song long ago for my father's father. Most of you probably know, but Zadie is the Yiddish word for grandfather, and is now used in English. This is what my grandchildren call me, which is quite loving. And it ended up in a musical that it was originally called Hope, is now called Stranger in This Land. It's about 5 or 6, I don't know, count them, generations of my own immigrant Jewish family. And we had for half a dozen years, I was the artist in residence, not really in residence, at Main Stage West in Sebastopol, California. I continued to live in Charlotte, North Carolina, but I would go out there when they were developing one of my musicals, including, our mutual friend John McCutcheon, for whom, as a surprise birthday gift, I wrote Joe Hill's Last Will, and he was magnificent in it. And
I saw him do it.
I saw it toured nationally and in Australia during the 100th anniversary of Joe Hill's death.
Really great.
And so I was out there to see many of the performances because I'm always fine tuning. Just this could be better, this could be different. And main stage was a wonderful black box, seats about 75 people, and after the show ends, I do the preacher thing, right? I go to my dad's a rabbi. I learned this early, so I'm standing at the entrance to the theater, shaking hands. Thank you for coming. Hope you enjoyed the show. Hope you'll tell your friends about it. And a woman, probably about my age, which then was in my 60s, came up and said to me, I've enjoyed your music for many years, but I had no idea that you're Ukrainian. And I said, my family's from all over Europe, but not from Ukraine. I'm sure it's a wonderful thing to be, but what made you think that I am Ukrainian? And she said, but if you're not Ukrainian, how did you know my grandfather's story? And I think that that's as high a compliment as I've ever received about my music. Because the story which I'm about to sing, which is called Crossing the Border, it's the immigrant story, it's the stranger's story, it's a universal story. My grandfather's story is a Ukrainian story. It's a Syrian story. It's a story of every immigrant who leaves their home looking for a better life and forever is caught between two worlds. So this is a Ukrainian song, Slava Ukraini. As a young man, he traveled through Russia with his uncle and two other singers, but they drafted him into the army, and he had to escape from there. When the guards that they'd bribed at the border started shooting at him and the others, they turned back, but he kept on going, and kept going for 92 years. We are crossing the border, we are crossing the border, we are crossing the border. Come go, come go, come go. He got passage to Nova Scotia, was married in Manitoba. He shoveled dirt for the Canadian Pacific, carried on when they built the hotel. Land was $1 an acre, but he was too careful to buy it. So when they found oil on it, he still had the story to tell. We are crossing the border, we are crossing the border, we are crossing the border. Come go, come go, come go. He got passage to Nova Scotia, was married in Manitoba. He shoveled dirt for the Canadian Pacific, carried hard when they built the hotel. Land was $1 an acre, but he was too careful to buy it. So when they found oil on it, he still had the story to tell. We are crossing the border, we are crossing the border, we are crossing crossing the border. Come go, come go, come go. He got old, and he lived by the ocean. I went with my children to see him. He stared through the cataracts at them, but I think that he saw them just right. We buried him up in New England, and maybe there's room for the wanderer, but home is where the heart is, and my heart's with my Zadie tonight. We are crossing the border. We are crossing the border. We are crossing the border. Come go, come go, come go.
Yeah. I saw that on stage. Someone sing that on stage on one of your shows, and it's such a powerful song. A song I wrote with Michael Mark about Ellis Island. It's one of those stories as well. But here we are. You mentioned Ukraine and this crazy war we have, and this weekend is also Mother's Day. So I thought there's a song that you and I and Scott Ainsley brought a story to me, and I told it to you. You probably knew it already, but I didn't. About a woman who connects the Civil War and the Franco-Prussian War and Mother's Day, founded Mother's Day, Julia Ward Howe. Scott came by and wanted to write and told me the story, and we started writing a song. He had to leave, and I worked on it a little bit, and then who shows up but Cy, and we
Right.
and I sang what we had, and
Right.
you gave me some other ideas, and then I finally finished it, and it goes like this. This is so prescient right now with the war going on and Mother's Day on the same week.
Yeah. And I did not know the story until you told it to me.
Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah.
She wrote the bitter vintage of the grapes of wrath. She coined the lightning's terrible swift sword. Her name was Julia Ward Howe, and the battle hymn she wrote once helped our sons to fight the Civil War. These fighting words that poured out so swiftly from her pen went to the waiting watchfires of Bull Run. From Shiloh to the wilderness to the fields of Gettysburg, in every Union camp her song was sung. But she looked back in sorrow and wished she'd found these words before. May every hymn of battle become a prayer for peace that never sends another soul to war. She had seen too much of killing and the toll that war exacts, and seeking ways to make the carnage cease, Julia called to every woman across this war-torn earth to gather in a Mother's Day for peace. Arise with me, arise, all women who have hearts. Our losses age us far beyond our years. We can no longer justify the cannon's fearsome roar, nor use our nation's flag to dry our tears. Let us look toward tomorrow and work together shore to shore, till every hymn of battle becomes a prayer for peace that never sends another soul to war. For 30 years, brave mothers met together every June. Then Woodrow Wilson named a holiday. that turned this great assembly of women against war into a card and candy, chocolate-filled cliche. But if we love our mothers, and of course we do, when we celebrate them every month of May, remember Julia Ward Howe and the dream she dreamed that Mother's Day might make war go away. Mother's Day might make war go away. Mine eyes have seen the glory of what this world could be when the sacred goal we're striving for transfigures you and me. When the work that women do for peace shall make all people free as we go marching on. Help me out. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. As we go marching on.
Ah, beautifully done. I love how you go into the instrumental version of, of Battle Hymn of the Republic, which then becomes, and the tune is John Brown's Body, right? Is
Lies mouldering in his grave.
John Brown died that the slaves may be free. Another example of the recycling of songs, and then, of course, my favorite version as a lifetime union member is Solidarity Forever. Solidarity Forever. And it's just that was beautifully done. And there is nothing but bitter irony. This is a song that obviously honors mothers, but it also honors women.
Yes.
And how atrocious that in the run-up to Mother's Day, to a day that honors all women everywhere, that 6 members of our Supreme Court, 6 extreme right-wing members of our Supreme Court, have made it known that they're going to repeal Roe v. Wade. And they are going to, and they are talking about banning abortion all over the United States. No woman ever wants to have an abortion, but it has to be a choice. And if it isn't a choice, then it's just another way of oppressing women in this country. And I think it's time to rise up. It is the Republican Party that is responsible for this, and in state after state, Republican legislators are banning abortion, even banning it in the case of rape, even banning it in the case of incest. This is a travesty, and we have to rise up against it. I wrote this song years ago, and I'm sorry that the time has come around again to sing it. There's war in Afghanistan, war in South Yemen, war in Ukraine, and war still in Syria. They tell us all wars are far off and foreign. In the United States, there's a war against women. Take to the streets, lift up your voice, fight for your life while you still have a choice. Tell them nobody's body but mine. This is nobody's body but mine. Tell them nobody's body but mine. This is nobody's body but mine. They bow down to laws that protect private property, while a woman's not safe in the home or the factory. They say the hallways of justice are solemn and sacred, But in front of the law, only women stand naked. Take to the streets, lift up your voice, fight for your life while you still have a choice. Tell them nobody's body but mine. This is nobody's body but mine. Tell them nobody's body but mine. This is nobody's body but mine. Though banners and manners are often expedient, the right civil act is to be disobedient. Just like in South Africa or in Mississippi, no jail, no law will lock up our bodies. Take to the streets, lift up your voice, fight for your life while you still have a choice. Tell them nobody's body but mine. This is nobody's body but mine. Tell them nobody's body but mine. Tell them nobody's body but mine.
Thank you, Si. Thank you. Well, the other thing happening this week, today is Pete Seeger's 103rd birthday. And Pete was an important person in our lives, both of ours. In my life, I didn't know that he was a family friend until we had already become the Chapin brothers. My brother Harry, and my brother Steve and I heard the Weavers at Carnegie Hall, a recording when I was 12 and Harry was 14. And that led us to the whole wonderful world of American folk music.
Wow.
And all the Pete recordings and stuff. And it turned out that my mother's first cousin's wife had gone to school with Toshi. And I found out later in life when he died, Arthur, housekeeper, who shows up at the funeral, but Pete and Toshi. And Pete sings at the funeral, to everything turn, turn, turn.
Yeah.
There is a season. And he's done for so many important things. And if you told me then when I was about 18 that I'd know him for the next 45 or 50 years, longer than that actually, and then I would have been just as happy as a clam, which I am, having known him.
Yeah, it's a great order. And what a tribute to the power of music, but it's linked with a powerful vision of good for the world. So this is for Pete and Toshi. Early in the morning, just before the dawn, stars fade to daylight, night is almost gone. River slowly sliding past the darkened town. River morning rising, won't you come on down? We're sailing down the Hudson, sailing down the Hudson, sailing down the Hudson, let your soul run free. Sailing down the Hudson, sailing down the Hudson, sailing down the Hudson to the clear blue sea. Early in the season, just before the rain, winter seeds start growing, some against the grain. Down on the river, where the day begins, small boat is sailing right into the wind. We're sailing down the Hudson, sailing down the Hudson, sailing down the Hudson, let your soul run free. Sailing down the Hudson, sailing down the Hudson, sailing down the Hudson to the clear sea. Late in the evening, just before the night, day's face to moonlight, fields of snowy white. Down on the river, someone's singing low. Memories gather around us, clouds before the snow. We're sailing down the Hudson, sailing down the Hudson, sailing down the Hudson, let your soul run free. Sailing down the Hudson, sailing down the Hudson, sailing down the Hudson to the clear blue sea. Late in the season, just before the frost, we gather in our memories, reckon up the cost. thankful for the harvest that good work brings, thankful for the travelers and the songs they sing. We're sailing down the Hudson, sailing down the Hudson, sailing down the Hudson, let your soul run free. Sailing down the Hudson, sailing down the Hudson, sailing down the Hudson to the clear blue sea. We're sailing down the Hudson, sailing down the Hudson, sailing down the Hudson, let your soul run free. Sailing down the Hudson, sailing down the Hudson, sailing down the Hudson to the clear blue sea. Happy birthday, Pete.
So good. So good. This is one of the first things we wrote together. I was telling you the story of us hearing the Weavers, and you said, tell me more, and then out of it came this. Tell you all, this is going to be our last song before we have a question and answer thing, so if you're interested in talking to us, get yourself on the list there. I did not learn this music at my grandma's knee, but from some old musicians I never got to see. And I know them by their records, their voices, and their songs. I'm blessed to be with you tonight, and Cy and all of you guys, to pass the music on. For the good times and the high times, through the suffering and pain, it's the song of generations singing in my veins. I still hear that old time music of good friends now long gone. I am here tonight to pass the music on. Well, you know I'm not traditional, and I've never claimed to be, but I come from a tradition that others made for me. They're still alive inside my heart, although they're now long gone. I like to think they trusted me to pass the music on. For the good times and the high times, through the suffering and pain, it's a song of generations singing in my veins. I still hear that old time music of good friends now long gone. I am here tonight to pass the music on. And most of the songs we've got tonight, I must admit we wrote. Others I've learned heart to heart instead of note by note. And now as I grow older, new folk come along, I'll help you out the best I can to pass the music on. Yeah. I've sung these songs to some old friends I never will forget, and I've sung them with an audience of folks I've hardly met. So here we are together to celebrate the song. We'll sing and play our part tonight and pass the music on. For the good times and the high times, through the suffering and pain, it's the song of generations singing in my veins. I still hear that old time music of good friends now long gone. I am here tonight to pass the music on. I am here tonight Yes, the music and the stories. On. Wow.
Wow. Wow.
Thank you, Cy.
Thank you,
Fun.
Tom. Thanks to everybody who joined us tonight. I guess we're ready for questions, huh?
Sure.
Comments?
Well,
Glo-
everybody has been enjoying your songs and your stories very much. Um, Before we get to the questions, though, there's a friend of yours who would like to say hi. Peter, are you there? Would you like to unmute yourself?
Sure.
Peter, all set?
Hey, Peter.
Whoa! How
Hey,
cool is
how you
that?
doing? How you doing, Peter?
Hey, Peter.
I just had the most fun I've had in weeks just now. Thank you so much.
Oh,
You're
thank
so
you.
welcome.
Yeah, it's just delightful seeing you two, and my heart soars like an eagle. You're just wonderful. Both of you are heroes of mine, and
Well, mutual.
Likewise, boy.
Thank you.
Hey,
It's been so long since I've seen you. Gosh.
Hey, but you know that line, "My heart soars like an eagle"? You need to turn that into a song.
I know, be up there with Otis.
Okay. No, seriously, you're a wonderful songwriter, and our kids grew up with your songs, and I'm telling you, my heart soars like an eagle.
Well, the feeling is completely mutual. I just didn't want to miss this. It's so easy to get distracted by all the other minutiae in our lives, and I could not miss this opportunity to see you two, and it's just been delightful.
thank you.
Oh, thank
Oh,
you.
but you know,
Thank
and
you,
if
Peter.
you really want to do this in synthesis with Eagle, with Otis, you could do "My heart soars like a beagle, and my feet run like a beagle."
An eagle and a beagle. And,
Eagle, and beagle. You heard it here first.
I thought you were going to say something about a gold eagle coin, which means I should bring up to everybody that you can go onto Venmo and donate some money to Tom and Cy here, or what was the other one? You've got a PayPal thing too, right?
PayPal, right?
So I'll let the other people have their hands up for talk more, but thank you
Thanks
so much.
Take
I'm
care
so
and be
glad
well,
you're here,
brother.
Peter. Yes.
Sure.
Great to see you, man. Thank you. Wonderful guy. Incredible talent.
Yeah.
Jamie Welsh has a question for you. Jamie, unmute yourself.
Hello.
Hi, Jamie. How you doing?
Hi, good. Hi, Tom. Hi, Cy. Great show tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Tom, I'm really looking forward to seeing you up in Portsmouth in July. Got my tickets. I'm all set.
Great. I'm looking forward to going there as well. It's on our way to Nova Scotia for the month of August.
Oh, great.
So that's great. Thank you.
And Cy, I wanted to say that one of my favorite songs of yours is "Go to Work on Monday." I first heard it, believe it or not, 25 years ago this month. I was just a kid, and that may well have launched my love for labor and protest songs and what have you.
Well, thank you for feeling that way. Thank you for saying that. It's a true story. It's I I don't know how many of you know my history, but I'm in my 57th year as a civil rights union and community organizer. This is actually, how I've earned a living all these years. I once told a reporter that my music was a hobby that got out of hand, and this is completely true. And I was working with the Textile
Thank
Workers
goodness.
Union. Pardon? Yeah, well, thank you. I was working with the Textile Workers Union of America, at the same time working to start the Brown Lung Association. Brown lung is an occupational disease that you get from working in a cotton mill. And one of the union leaders and one of the leaders in the Carolina Brown Lung Association was a guy named Lewis Harrell. He worked in the card room, which is the dirtiest part of the mill. And generally speaking, card room workers are the ones who tend to get brown lung. It's kind of like emphysema, but it is a fatal disease. And eventually Lewis got to where he couldn't work in the mill anymore, and he died of the disease. And the lines in the song, sitting on my front porch swing, I'm like a man forgotten, head all filled with angry thoughts and lungs filled up with cotton. He said that to me. And I was a pallbearer at his funeral, so the song it's a true song. It's in honor of Lewis and all the other courageous workers who cleaned up the mills and who got compensation. The tragedy is that now there are no mills left in the United States. 1 million jobs blown away. And the mills, the machinery is still running, but it's running in third world countries where so often the workers are behind barbed wire and armed guards, and they're working 12, 14, 16 hours a day, and sexual harassment and exploitation is rampant. The mills built the middle class in the South and in the North. My Aunt Bessie worked as a spinner in a mill in Billerica, Massachusetts. And
I'm from Massachusetts.
Yeah.
There was those old textile mills are all now co-ops and big things.
Yeah.
Those buildings are still there along the Connecticut River and the Merrimack. Those of you who are meeting Cy for the first time, go to his website and check out some of the amazing stuff he does. He has a wonderful, almost every day is writing stuff, and it's really informative. So, also find the music. And the other thing's been happening is that these younger performers have been recording all your songs that may never have seen the light otherwise, which is great.
Well, I asked them to. I mean, they didn't come to it spontaneously. I just thought, there's now half a dozen albums of my songs by performers in their 20s and early 30s. Joe Jenks, Sarah Lynch Thomason, and Sam Gleaves, Matt Watroba, Katie Oates. Coming next year's album by a wonderful singer from the UK named Phoebe Reese. Got a not ready to announce yet, but an album of jazz versions of my songs. And I just love doing this, and it also means that I don't have to go, hang out in airports, which I really. I mean, if I never see another airport as long as I live, I will be a happy person.
Cool. That sounds fun.
Thanks. Yeah, and thanks for the plug.
States, you're up. What's your question? Unmute yourself, please.
There it is. I just wanted to say, Cy, I have loved your music for years. We got a CD of you and John McCutcheon, Sign of the Times, forever ago. And the first time I heard the Curtains in Olds Place, I cried and I cried and I cried. And then about a year or so ago, I heard an Irish singer doing a song called Belfast Mill.
Yes.
And I was totally unfamiliar. And I went to look it up to learn to play it and went, wait, Cy Kahn wrote this. It is not about Belfast. But it is. People have owned it elsewhere. And it is one of my favorite things to play. So I just wanted to say thank you.
Thank you so much for this. Actually, there's something called the International Country Music Conference. It's an academic conference that takes place every year in Nashville at Belmont University, and it's a juried academic conference, and I will be presenting a paper on Belfast Mill, which was originally Aragon Mill, and which in 40 years has gone through as many changes as some of the historic ballads like Barbara Allen have gone through in 500 years. And there are 7 structurally different versions of this. I'll post the paper. I'm in the middle of writing the paper, and I'll post it. It's also recorded as Weave and Spin. It's recorded as Oregon Mill. It's recorded as Douglas Mills. There's a version in Plattdeutsch, which is what used to be known as Low German, but I suppose the people who spoke us up, how come they're High Germans and we're Low Germans? And there's a version in Welsh, but in the Welsh version, it's not my original lyrics. It's the band, which is called Furinabar, which I think I asked somebody for the Welsh translation. They said it means 4 people in a bar, and but it doesn't have any vowels or such as we who speak English think of as vowels. And they wrote new lyrics to the tune about the closing of an open pit mine in Cardiff in Wales. So quite a journey.
The folk process, man. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well,
That's great.
at our
That's
house,
great.
we still sing it as Aragon Mill because I went back to
Yeah.
yours. But it's
Thank
wonderful
you.
that it's
What a
just
beautiful
owned by
song.
the world.
Well, thank you for saying that.
Great.
Ian Hayden has a tough question for you.
Good.
Ian, are you there? Can you unmute yourself?
His ceiling fan is there.
His ceiling fan is there. It's not moving. Ian,
Okay, well, we'll move on then.
it was so tough he didn't get to it.
Jeannie Frank. Well, I can tell you what he wanted to know.
Okay.
He wanted to know, Cy, what was your favorite song to write with Tom?
Oh, jeez.
Oh, can I just say all 30 of them?
You sure can.
I, okay, I'm speechless. This is not usually the case. I just love the songs that are about the history of Tom's family, and I think in some way my favorite, I'm not saying my favorite song, but my favorite writing experience was a song that we wrote about Dorothy Day,
Yes.
the founder of the Catholic worker movement, and for which I have profound respect, absolutely profound respect for the Catholic worker movement, which I learned about largely from Utah Phillips, who was very active in it, although I don't think he was Catholic. You all may not know that Utah Phillips was actually bar mitzvah. Ask me another time.
Okay.
But but I did not know that Dorothy Day had a bohemian past, and that her lover was Tom's great uncle. Is that
Who had
correct?
who had a child by
Had a child
his
by,
name
and
was
they-
Foster Battram, and Dorothy Day and he were lived together and were great
On
love.
the beach in Provincetown.
And also up in Staten Island, he was a fisherman there, and he had places, but he refused to marry. He was against war, and he was against the Catholic Church of all things.
Right.
So he was a character, and they had a child together, Tamara. Right. So there's all this talk about maybe now ephemeral, but that she might become a saint someday because she deserves it if anybody does. And so I was hoping that would happen so I could say, yeah, my great uncle knocked up a saint. But
Yeah,
Dorothy
but,
Day.
yeah, but
I
that-
remember her. I remember her very, very well from my childhood because she was great friends with my grandmother and all her sisters, and of course with Foster, my great uncle, And so I told Cy the story, and we wrote a song about that.
Yeah.
And so that was really fun to do. Yeah.
But how many people could I write with who would say, "Oh yeah, my great uncle was, used to hang out and was, had a child with Dorothy Day, founder of the Catholic worker movement." This doesn't happen every day.
It's a
Good
ridiculous
question.
family.
But I've loved every song we've done together.
Yeah.
I promise you that.
That's part of the thing is the joy of invention and the it's almost like a playing a game, it's grown men playing, and it's a terrific thing to be doing. I've always felt that about the writing. You get a good collaborator, someone you care to be with. Yeah. And then you write songs, and it's like, wow, this really a great reason to get together, and all the other stuff happens like friends. But meanwhile, you come out of it with maybe a song that you can share with the world. Yeah. It's really pretty wonderful.
I just had to read you one comment from Facebook. From I hope I pronounced your name right. Peter Parziale just said, "You can tell that Ian is a big fan." Anyway, next question. Joe Ray, are you there? Can you unmute
Hey,
yourself?
Joe.
I think I have. How you doing?
Good.
Cy, greetings from Kenai, Alaska.
All right. Now you're talking.
I just wanted to tell you how much we appreciate you taking an interest in our state. It has. I've been a trial lawyer up here for 40 years, and it has been instrumental, the quality of attention that you brought to our Bristol Bay area. And I must tell you, I learned a lot about your music after you put out that wonderful record.
Thank you.
And Suzanne Little and I speak occasionally, and it's always a highlight asking her if she's talked to you or not. So I just want to thank you very
Well,
much
you
for
know,
your.
thank you. It was an honor to be a part of the campaign to stop the pebble mine. And I met so many extraordinary people. I had
Great
never
people.
been to Alaska. I had never imagined that I would ever go to Alaska. And then I discovered just an extraordinary place, an extraordinary group of people, and an unbelievable fight, a truly righteous fight. And it remains one of my favorite adventures. Adventures in, people say, are you really as happy as you seem? And I'm like, yeah, I really am. They say, how did you do that? I said, I don't know. I just love fighting evil corporations. It just brings me happiness, and peace of mind. And boy, that was an evil corporation, and it looks like we've won. No victory is permanent.
It still is an
for
evil
now.
corporation.
Yep.
They're still trying to
Yeah,
set
they're
aside
I know.
things, but
Yeah,
thank you.
that's the thing. These things keep going. It's like you don't quite win. You what you do is you keep the fight going. It's the same thing with the
Right.
abortion question.
Yeah.
You think you have it won, and then okay,
There we go.
back. We have.
Oh,
what
this,
you just
wait.
go ahead.
Before, can we have a? Can I do a commercial?
Sure.
A non-commercial commercial. All right. Tom and I both have newsletters. They're free. They show up in your inbox. You don't have to do anything. You wake up in the morning and think, oh, here's, musings and music from Tom Chapin. Pretty cool. My newsletter doesn't have a name, but it shows up, And, just go to our websites, with your other webbed friends, web-footed friends. Just put your name in there, and these things will magically show up. You don't have to read them if you don't feel like it, but, frankly, we don't deliver bad news on our websites. You don't think, oh, not another war. Oh, not more violence against women. Oh, not another police shooting. We have very cheerful newsletters. So they're an alternative to ruining your morning by reading, the New York Times or the Washington Post or Mother Jones or the Progressive or the Nation. It's guaranteed not to depress you. So, yeah, you might want to sign up, and we will be happy to greet you to cheerful news from the musical world.
Let me give a little shout out to my daughter Jessica Craven, who has a blog that's a daily blog called Chop Wood, Carry Water, that tells you how to do
nice.
really great, important work. She's very positive, and if you really want to be effective, she has done the work. And she says, "This is your job today. Extra credit, you can do this." And so, Chop Wood, Carry Water, Jessica Craven. I'm so proud of her. I can't believe it.
What a beautiful title.
It's yeah, it's a great idea. The whole idea of just doing the work, just day to day, do the work. I loved your answer to the guy from Alaska. It reminded me of Pete Seeger. Somebody asked Pete Seeger when Harry and I were with him, and one of the first times I ever played with him, we did a benefit for Why Hunger, and this kid came out, from the school newspaper, comes up and said, "Mr. Seeger, you've spent your whole life doing these benefits. Has it ever made a difference?" And Pete goes, "I don't know, but I do know I met the good people with live hearts, live eyes, live minds." And it was a wonderful answer about doing the good work, that you identify what's the right thing to do, and you walk toward it, and you meet wonderful people doing the same thing, and it becomes a group. It's not you alone at all.
Hey, so do I get to ask a question? Or is it restricted to audience members?
Sure. Can you ask a question?
Yeah, can I ask
Sure.
a question? Hey, so, Tom, could you tell us about Why Hunger?
Well, this is an organization that is so
This
near
was
and dear
not
to my heart.
This was not pre-planned.
No.
I was not paid to do this. It was completely spontaneous.
My brother Harry started an organization in 1975 called World Hunger Year, which is now morphed into Why Hunger, and it's one of the proud. I was on the board until last year when they realized that I couldn't be on the board for more than 40 years without starting, taking a year off. But I'm of course a fundraiser for them. But it puts hungry people in touch with food and helps them towards self-reliance. And talking about wonderful good news, they do the good hard work all the time politically, and to try to, they believe that food is a right, not a privilege, and they're working toward food justice, and they've done wonderful work. I'm so proud of this group. whyhunger.org. Check it out. They have wonderful, interesting things about all of people all over the world doing good things, and if you want a group that is doing just incredibly strong good work, they're a 4-star organization. All the money goes right to where it's supposed to go. Why Hunger, and it's a great. My brother Harry would have been 79 years old this year and 80 in December 7th, and somewhere he is so proud of this organization that he founded in 1975.
Amen. Thank you.
Any
Tom,
more? Yep.
yes, we have 3 more questions and one comment from Jeannie Francalancia, who lost power during this, though is watching on Facebook. But her comment is, Tom, you're a very fortunate man to have been able to surround yourself with such creative and downright good people.
Amen. That's
Yeah.
I couldn't have said it better.
Exactly.
Thanks, Jeannie.
David and Patty Gaffman have a question for you.
Sure.
I gather you live in North Carolina, Cy?
Yeah, I've been here for 45 years, Charlotte, North Carolina.
I was born in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Yeah, you said some
Yeah,
previous
but you left.
time, one of these streaming things, Tom talked about one of your ancestors being an indentured servant or something in North Carolina.
That was
What's the story?
my great grandfather Harry Battram came over here with his father. I'm not sure it was exactly an indentured servant. I think they came over. They had it's a work thing, and they went to Asheville, North Carolina. Father was about late 40s, and Harry Battram was my mother's grandfather, and he was came from the Fen country in England, and they worked off their 4 or 5 year indenture thing. And then he became a tinker up in the mountains, and then he became a real estate guy, and he put all 7 of his kids through college before World War I. 6 girls and one guy, and that guy was Foster Battram in Dorothy Day. Yeah,
It's called Battram.
Batterham, Battham, and Forster's Forster. His mother's name was Nellie Forster, and anyways, it's long. That's another for another time. But yes, he came from England. Didn't go through. I think it was either before or didn't go through Ellis Island, but came to New York, and ended up in North Carolina.
Yeah, I'm the first in my family to show up in North Carolina.
We have a shout out to Stephanie Ayersman, whose birthday is tomorrow, right?
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
And we're also going to let people know that 4 of your collaborations will be on your new CD.
Right. I have a new CD called Hold Our Ground. Hold Your Ground, which is a great idea for this moment, and there's 4 brand new songs. One of which, no, I didn't. Yeah, we Listen Close is gonna be on with my daughters doing some harmony and
that's
John
great.
and Michael and stuff. It's great. Looking forward.
You're also, guys. Can I do another advertisement? I'm not paid to do these things, and I don't get any royalties for them. But the Chapin sisters are just wonderful. They're great people. I've hung out with them, and I love they do this. I hate to pick favorites, but I love the album where they do the Everly Brothers songs, and they manage to actually look like the Everly Brothers, which is a serious achievement. But yeah, look for their music. It's it's wonderful. And, and it's just, for me, I mean, I turn 80 in 2 years, or less than 2 years. And I think it's just so wonderful that the music is in good hands. It's wonderful that there are, I've been doing, as Tom pointed out, not just having young artists doing albums of my songs, but just working with and writing with, I'm writing with Liam Purcell, who's now at the Berklee School of Music, and we started writing together when I was 15 years old. And I think the talent, the political vision and commitments, the sense of community among young artists is just wonderful. You don't need to worry any more than Pete needed to worry. Although I think Pete worried a lot, but no, the music is in good hands, and that means a lot to me.
Paul Reisler, you've been waiting very
Paul.
patiently to ask your question.
Hi,
Well,
Paul.
hi, Cy and Tom. So good to see you, old friends.
Yeah.
I bet you want to know why I didn't answer your email.
I don't know I don't remember if I did send you one. I guess I did. Well, why didn't you answer it, Cy?
Well, I don't want to say it in public.
Okay.
No,
Okay.
it's just I'm busy. It's on my list. Seriously, you do. So and if you don't mind taking a second to tell people about the wonderful work that you do, which is just amazing, and then you can ask your question.
Okay. Well, so what I do these days is I started a program about 22 years ago called Kid Pan Alley.
Yeah.
And we write songs with kids. We've written about 3,000 songs with about 70,000 children. And the songs have been recorded by a lot of well-known artists like Amy Grant, Delbert McClinton, Kix Brooks, Sissy Spacek, John McCutcheon. A whole bunch of people have recorded those songs, and they're pretty amazing songs. And what I was going to say was Cy is actually responsible for a lot of that. Back in the early 80s, Cy and I were teaching at the Augusta Workshop in West Virginia. And I had a band called Trapezoid back then, and I wasn't really writing songs, but I was doing a lot of concerts. And Cy said to me one night, why don't you write songs anymore? And I said, oh, well, Lorraine's the songwriter. I don't have anything to say, yada, yada, yada. And Cy said, I tell you what, get up in the morning, write a song, finish it before you come in to teach, and I'll buy you a beer every night that you do that. And so I did that for the week when Cy was there. I got up early. I wrote a song. He said, put it in a file folder. Don't look at it for 6 months. Just write it and finish it. And I did that in the 6 months. After Cy left, I found I was really enjoying it. So I kept going. And I went for 6 months, and I realized I did not want to look at those songs because I was afraid they'd suck and I wouldn't want to write anymore. So I kept going, and I went for about 3 years, not every day, but I had about 300-400 songs when the years was when I looked at them. And some of them were good and some of them were awful, and some of them just needed a little bit of work. And I realized what Cy told me taught me how to write songs. And so Cy's written tons of songs, and Cy has inspired thousands of other songs in me. Because I kept going, and I've written about several thousand now, and there are about 70 or 80,000 children who have written songs because of what Cy told me. Right? So thank you, Cy, for what you did to change my life and the life of tens of thousands of children.
Well, first, thanks, Paul. We're great friends and glad we're in this world and work together. But I have a surprise for you. In the mail, because at this point, a beer per song would be really difficult because you can't, one of my favorites, I have a very short list of songs that I wish I had written, and one is Hank Williams Jr., Fax Me a Beer. Right? So in the mail, I'm not buying you individual beers anymore, but is the deed to a brewery. It's in your name and the name of Kid Pan Alley. And, so you could just, it's in Asheville, it's on the main street. And it's
Every morning you have to brew a beer.
Yeah. And kids need to own a brewery, after all.
Right.
Get them started early, both with songwriting and with drinking beer. Well, thank you, Cy. I'm looking forward to owning a brewery.
Right.
Thanks, Paul.
Don't drink it all at once.
Carry on, Paul. Great
Well,
work.
thanks, you too. Glad to see you both carrying on there.
We're gonna end tonight's questions with one by your friend Bill Marker.
Hey, Bill.
Hi. Hi, Tom. Hi, Claudia.
Hi.
And Paul, I think I have a trapezoid record downstairs in my records. I'm not sure. And actually, it's an old record old song that I'm asking about. Cy, you don't know me, but I'm a fellow MCJC kid. Remember your father from the synagogue. But there's a song from decades ago that I think tonight that I think is yours, about a North Carolina state senator male who gets pregnant.
Right.
Oh my goodness!
Can't get the abortion.
Yep.
It's somehow tonight I'm thinking about that song.
Perfect
Tom,
segue.
Tom, did you set him up to do this?
I did not, because we have that.
All right,
that's
we'll
the
do
next
it.
thing we're supposed to be doing. Bill, good job. Good job, Bill.
Yeah, the MCJC was the Metropolitan
Montgomery County
Jewish Community Center. Yeah, so that I went to services there, and my dad was, like the guy in the Great Lebowski, who's a Shomer Shabbos. He doesn't bowl on Saturday, even though he's actually Catholic. Yeah, we walked there along East-West Highway. Very dangerous, right? Yeah, it's nice to remember that. Now it's called Or Kodesh.
The rabbi went to Israel and came back and got that was the name. I think you've met my brother Jeff Marker. I think
probably. I'm not sure, but
Cy, let's do this song that he's just.
I'm going to do this, but first, because as Shakespeare said, "Who is Claudia? Who is she?" We heard her name, and I want to thank the amazing Claudia Leibovitz, who is the power behind this show, and
absolutely.
And I think her title is assistant to Tom Chapin. I think that understates the case, but helped me with my technological deficiencies, and she's behind the scenes making sure all this we zoom correctly, and it's just a wonderful person to work with. I've worked with Claudia. I don't think we've ever met, and so there's these bots out there. Maybe she's a bot. I don't know. But Claudia, thank you for all you do with Tom and with me, and for making this show so much fun. Such a nice way to spend an evening.
I'll tell you a secret.
So
it was Claudia's idea in the first place to do the collaboration sequence, and so that's as many of the things I do are her good ideas, and this is one of them. So fun.
Thank you so much, and I can't wait to hear this song.
All right, so this was originally written in honor of, some of you will remember, the late great Senator Jesse Helms, but hopefully, like Buffy St. Marie's great song, The Universal Soldier, this is the Universal Senator. I was born in North Carolina, a state where men are men. Most folks call me Senator, but you can call me friend. I've served this state for many years. Ask anyone what I've done. And I supported right to life in 2021. I got up this morning to have some time to think. My stomach felt real queasy, like I'd had too much to drink. My chest felt sore and swollen, my pants all kicked too tight. And I swear that something kicked me when I lay down at night. So I went to see the doctor. I was feeling old and tired. He poked me up and down, and then he looked me long and hard. He said, "Well, we've got a problem. Just speaking among us men. I'm going to make you an appointment with an OBGYN." Well, I didn't get excited. I didn't scream or shout. I said, "Doc, you make arrangements and we'll straighten this thing out." I'm just too old and ugly to be some child's pa or ma. He said, I'd like to help you, but you know the law's the law. I begged him and I pleaded and I fell down on my knees. I said, Doc, this here's my body. Can I treat it like I please? He said, I'd sure like to help you, 'cause I know that's why you're here. But you know, you're up for re-election come November of this year.
Wowie zowie. One of the last songs we wrote together. And it won't be the last. When times grow dark and life grows mean, the hardest times we've ever seen, when darkness overwhelms the dawn, can we find strength to carry on? When high winds tear down what we built, do we give in to blame and guilt, or work and fight as we've done before, and rise once more, and rise once more? You are here, hold our ground. I am here, hold our ground. We are here together through times of strife, hold our ground. Through times of fear, we will hold our ground forever. When tempers and the earth grow hot, we'll trust the goals for which we fought. We'll not lose sight of a brighter day, nor lose one friend along the way. You are here, hold our ground. I am here, hold our ground. We are here together through times of strife, hold our ground. Through times of fear, we will hold our ground forever. We will hold our ground forever. The common good is still our creed, to each according to their need. When oceans rise and high winds wail, our quiet courage will prevail as chance. You are here, hold our ground. I am here. We are here together through times of strife, through times of fear. We will hold our ground forever. We will hold our ground forever. Thank you, Kahn.
Thank you, Tom Chapin. Thank you, audience. Thank you, Claudia
Thank you,
Leibovitz.
Claudia.
Thank you, Pete Seeger.
Thank you all, and what a delight. Thanks, my friend. We hope I see you in person real soon.
A secular amen to that, Tom.
Thanks, friends. See you soon.
Good night.